In the last lesson, you talked about volume of rectangular prisms. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the surface area of rectangular prisms. Surface area basically means that we're going to be covering the entire prism. So we're finding the areas of all the different sides, and we're going to actually add them up. For a rectangular prism, this is relatively easy because there's a formula that brings this out for us. 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH is the formula that we can follow. Essentially what we're doing is finding the area of each of the rectangles and doubling it because on the other side of the rectangular prism there's an identical one. So that's what this formula does. Surface area is the sum of the areas of all the surfaces or the faces of a three-dimensional figure. Because we're talking about area again, our units are in square units. So if you remember from our area chapter, we used square units because we were taking everything and covering it in the squares. We're going to follow our formula. So all we need to do is look at our rectangular prism and determine our length, our width, and our height. So here our length is 5, our width is 4, and our height is going to be 3. Our surface area formula is 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. So I use a little cursive L for this one because I don't want to confuse my L with a number 1. So all I do is go ahead and plug in. Notice in between here that this is multiplication. So 2 times L is 5, W is 4, plus 2 times L is 5, H is 3, plus 2 times W is 4, H is 3. I'm going to ask you to do these into the 3 separate sections just so that it's a little bit easier and then we can kind of track where your mistakes are happening. The first section, 2 times 5 times 4 gives you 40, plus 2 times 5 times 3 is 30, plus 2 times 4 times 3 is 24. When we add all those together, we get 94 centimeters squared for our first one. In the next example, we have another rectangular prism. We just need to identify our length, our width, and our height. Our surface area formula is 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. So when we go to plug in, we're going to have 2 times 9 is L times 10 is W, plus 2 times 9 is L times 5 is H, plus 2 times W is 10 times H is 5. So our first part, 2 times 9 times 10 is going to be 180. 2 times 9 times 5 is going to give us 90. Plus the last part, 2 times 10 times 5 is going to give us 100. When we add all those together, we're going to get 370 square inches. In our next example, it says Domingo built a toy box 60 inches long, 24 inches wide, and 36 inches high. He has 1 quart of paint that covers about 87 square feet of surface. Does he have enough to paint the toy box? We have a problem because these are all in inches, and then our paint is talking about square feet. If we can change inches into feet and then calculate our area in square feet, it would be a lot easier. So my length is 60 inches. To get inches into feet, I have to divide by 12 because there's 12 inches in 1 foot. So my length is 5 feet. My width is 24 inches, and 24 divided by 12 is 2, so there's 2 feet. And my height is 36 inches, 36 divided by 12 is 3 feet. We are looking for surface area because we're painting the toy box. So 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. So 2 times 5 times 2 plus 2 times 5 times 3 plus 2 times 2 times 3. Just plugging in using these values that we found before. 2 times 5 times 2 will give me 20. 2 times 5 times 3 will give me 30. And 2 times 2 times 3 will give me 12. This will give me a total of 62 square feet need to be painted. If he has 87 square feet, does he have enough? So we say yes. He'll actually have extra too. So he could paint more of another toy box or something else then. Example 4, when making a book cover, Anwar adds an additional 20 square inches to the surface area to allow for overlap. How many square inches of paper will he use to make a book cover for a book 11 inches long, 8 inches wide, and 1 inch high? Notice long, wide, and high. Those are your length, your width, and your height. He's going to add on an extra 20 inches, so we'll add that at the end. Surface area equals 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. So we'll plug in 2 times 11 times 8 plus 2 times 11 times 1 plus 2 times 8 times 1. So 2 times 11 times 8 is going to give us 176. 2 times 11 times 1 will give us 22. And 2 times 8 times 1 will give us 16. When I add all those together, I get 214 square inches. Don't forget, though, that he has to add on the additional 20 square inches. So add on 20 square inches, and we have a total of 234 square inches then.